Welcome back to another edition of Bold Blind Beauty on Air podcast, the show that's clearing the air for more air, access, inclusion, and representation. I'm Stephanae McCoy, and with me are my co-hosts.
I'm Nasreen Bhutta.
And Sylvia Stinson-Perez.
In this month's episode, Nasreen, Sylvia, and I are excited to talk about channeling our inner boldness. When I knew our conversation was going to be about finding our boldness, I immediately thought about Bold Blind Beauty, as I'm often asked how I came up with the name. Because of the stigma about blindness and the lack of access for blind people, I felt surrounding the word blind with bold and beauty would help to demystify it. Blind people who are making a conscious decision to live their lives are bold, and that alone is beautiful. Life is hard, and it can be doubly hard for those of us who are blind or living with another disability. When we are able to fully embrace ourselves as we are, I think it's one of the boldest things we can do. What do you think, ladies?
So true, Steph.
Absolutely. Totally agree. I have to ask you guys then, ladies, what does bold mean to you? Sylvia, what do you think?
For me, boldness is confidence and courage. I think we find our boldness, our confidence, and our courage by getting out of our comfort zone. You guys know that I just love quotes. And so when we were thinking about this, I had to go and dig into some quotes. I think they just so eloquently express what we're trying to say. So in this quote by Nelson Mandela, let's substitute the word courage for boldness. So courage or boldness is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man or woman is not she who does not feel afraid, but she who conquers that fear. So boldness for me is really about conquering that fear every day in every situation in whatever way I can manage. And I think that's different for each of us. Steph, what about you?
Thank you, Sylvia. I couldn't have said that any better. And I love Nelson Mandela, and that quote especially speaks to my heart. And I agree with it so fully. Being bold to me means being unapologetically myself. A favorite quote of mine from my preteen years that I've tried to pattern my life after is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it goes like this: "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Even though I marched to the beat of my own drum, as a highly sensitive, introverted person, I struggle and many times would rather seek solitude than to be front and center. So that's getting out of that comfort zone that you talked about, Sylvia. Because of this, I so wish that we could see ourselves as others see us. People will say the nicest things to me about me, and yet sometimes I have a hard time seeing those things in myself. Nasreen, what are your thoughts on boldness? What does it mean to you?
Ladies, this is a really good question. And I love both of your answers and your quotes. And I agree with the quotes that you both have shared. Steph, I think it's really difficult, you're right, to see ourselves. For me, it's having your own identity, having the courage and the willingness to express it, I think is important by stepping up and stepping out onto our edge in life as we see it. And sometimes having to push the limits of what we think is possible or appropriate. Being fearless. And I know for some people that is really hard to embrace or to think about, but a lot of things in my life, a lot of experiences and situations coming from somebody who was fully sighted and never thought of blindness ever hitting or a lifestyle change ever happening, just embracing the whole idea of this new community, this new lifestyle, all of this, I was very fearful and very scared at all of it in the beginning. And so embracing it was very difficult. And I think that happens to everybody in a lot of change or trauma or whatever that they're going through this time in their lives. It's hard for them. And I think there should be no excuse for having the willingness of having your own identity. We all need to have our own identity. Everyone is different, unique. Some people are brash, some people are sassy, some people are timid, some people are extrovert, introvert, whatever you have it, you should be able to express it, be bold in it and embrace it and own it. And I think that's what I think of it today. Now, if you asked me this question 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would be like a mouse and have nothing really to say. But today I stand tall and proud, and I own my own identity, whatever it is, whether somebody likes it or doesn't like it. I am who I am, and I don't apologize for it.
So what I'm hearing all of us say is boldness is authenticity, being ourselves and having the courage to be ourselves.
At boldblindbeauty.com, we sell a message of empowerment, acceptance, and hope. Our mission is to improve humanity by changing the way we perceive one another. When you shop our online store, you support our mission and projects such as this podcast. To tie in with today's message of channeling our inner boldness, we are promoting our Bold Leaders Illuminating New Directions product line. Life is hard, and being blind can make life more challenging, yet many of us are proud to be blind. Bold Leaders Illuminating New Directions. For full product details, please visit boldblindbeauty.com.
So, ladies, what have you done recently to express or to find your boldness recently? So, Steph, let's start with you.
I had to think about that for a minute because I'm like, what have I done recently? And then, I remembered I accepted an invitation from the FCC to be their featured speaker at their second forum on improving accessibility of online video programming. For me, this was huge because it was a rather major, platform and an amazing opportunity for me to represent Bold Blind Beauty by sharing my views on audio description from a consumer and an advocacy perspective. So, as I said earlier, rather seeking solitude rather than being front and center, that for me was a really bold move. And to both of you all's comments on what it means to be bold, I did move through that fear, found my courage and did it and felt so good.
That's awesome stuff. I think that's very commendable. For me, there's two things. And one is that I'm always helping other people launch or relaunch their careers and stuff, and being sort of a career coach or mentor to them. I this time decided to take a bold step and invest some time and energy in doing the same for myself, because I think over time, if you give, sometimes you miss your own self to kind of look back and refine, regroup, restructure yourself. And I'm also looking at that today. That's a big, bold step for me, because when you're always mentoring others, you never think about yourself. It doesn't come in your mind. You think, oh, I've got it all in order, I'm good. But no, sometimes you really need, rework yourself and just work on your own professionalism and your goals and aspirations, because they change over time. And we tend to forget that as people. We lock ourselves in and think, okay, 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, it goes by so fast. And we need to do that self-care and self-evaluation and reflection in ourselves. So that's one thing. And the other thing, and I talk about this a lot in our recent podcast, and that is traveling by myself and becoming very good at it. I feel really bold and empowered when I do that. And this year I've gone on a couple of trips, as you all know, in different places, and I've loved it. I've enjoyed it. But this time I've done something a little bit different than last time that I've ever traveled, like last couple of years. And that's, I've always taken my handy dandy cane that I was given as a gift that I talked about in one of my last podcasts with me as my trusted friend, confidant, and safety net with me on my travel and my trips. And I really feel so powerful with that whole combination of travel. It's increased my confidence, my awareness, allowed me to advocate for myself better, to be bold by showing it, sporting it around, and getting the help, things that I need as I'm traveling, but feeling like having that freedom of independence that I can do this. And that was done. I felt that at the airports. I felt that, when I was waiting for my connection of the planes, and just what I needed for myself and getting back home safely and being safe. I love that, because although each time it's scary, each trip that I go on, and each time I step out to travel, I'm always like, okay, doing my mental map of me going through my trip mentally to getting ready in preparation for it. You never are aware of any hiccups or shortcomings that will come. You got to prepare for those. For me, I've never been exposed up here where I am to the blindness community. So when I have to travel to an event that is catered to the blindness community, I'm excited. I'm like, really super excited to go, packing my bags, the first one to get everything ready, and then getting all the tools that I need and going. And I love it. I love going and being part of the community, because it's something I've never been exposed to up here. And to me, that's being bold, because I would never have taken those steps 5-6 years ago. In fact, I would shun away from anything like that. So to me, that is what I've recently done, is and embraced in the sense of boldness for me. Sylvia?
Nasreen, I just love that. I love that. I'm so excited to hear that, because I know when we did a whole episode on using the cane a little while back, this was not what you said. So I'm so excited that you've embraced that and found that independence and that courage and the confidence. That's so exciting to me. So for me, I would say that most people think I'm this incredibly confident, bold person. And I can put on a great show for that. In some situations, I am very confident. But I will tell you that I think that there's a quote by Marianne Rodmacher that really always sticks deep in me, because I think it really is so profound and so much a part of me. And it says, courage does not always roar. Sometimes it's that little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow. And for me, I think that is just so deeply embedded in who I am, is that I'm an optimist, and I'll try things. And if I don't get it right, it doesn't turn out great, I'll keep going. I'll keep trying. So I think so many of us are just trying to get comfortable with who we are. I think Nasreen and Steph have just expressed that so well. But while also, we're just trying to work on ourselves at the same time. We're trying to get comfortable with being authentic while also working on being better. So for me, sorry, Steph, go ahead.
I was going to say that quote that you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
I just saw that just the other day. I was looking for a quote to lift someone up, and I came across that quote, and it actually was meaningful to me because, sometimes when we have those really tough days where it's really hard to get going, and I read that and I'm like, oh my God, that's so perfect. So yeah, I really, that resonated with me. I just wanted to thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it really is one of my favorites, because it's about hope. What is it? It's about hope.
Yes.
So for me, getting out of my comfort zone is about trying new things, reaching out to people, speaking up for myself, saying no when I need to. And of course, doing all of this as someone who's blind. So recently, on a trip, I happen to love waterfalls, and I love the feel of the spray of the water, and just something about water just soothes me. And so my husband and I hiked out to this waterfall, and he said, well, do you want to climb down to it? And it was a very rigorous climb. And I knew it would be because I've done it before, but when I could see more, I was scared. And he was there encouraging me and helping me. But I will tell you that the whole time I'm climbing down, ladies, I'm thinking, if I fall, I'm going to bust out my teeth and break my nose, and that will not look good. That's what I'm thinking the whole time. I'm not worried about anything but breaking my teeth and my nose and how I'm going to look. But I managed to get down, and physically it was a challenge. But at the end, I sat down at the bottom of that waterfall with just, pride and peace. And I took a little rock from there to remind myself that it's okay to get out of my comfort zone and that I need to do that more. Now, it was a little tiny rock. There were a lot of big rocks, but I was like, oh, I can't carry those big rocks up that, because now I got to climb back up. So.
Well, that sounds like the definition of bold. And I think it's a nice segue to the next question, which is, what bold thing would you like to do soon? Nasreen, can we start with you?
Sure. I have done some bungee jumping in the past, just in case y'all don't know. And I love that kind of stuff. I love being sort of high up and sort of gravity pull and all this stuff. So one of the things I was thinking about was taking a ride up high in a hot air balloon and just being free and letting myself go and just enjoying the view, the air, and maybe a bird or two if I see one up that high. I love those kind of things. And also trying my hand at zip lining. Since I've done the bungee jumping, I've seen zip lining, and I thought this would be kind of cool, maybe going over a lake, or like you, Sylvia, a waterfall. That seems so surreal and fun, and just this getting kind of wet and looks, that to me is just real surreal and fun, and just letting yourself go and de-stressing and just the whole mental relaxation. And I love that kind of stuff. So I'm a kid at heart. I love that kind of sort of G-force stuff, going up high, going down low, up and down, roller coasters and things like that. So that's what I would love to do. And I am scared because I've heard of hot air balloons kind of crashing down on you. But I would just love to go up high in the little basket and just pop my head over and see what I can see.
Here is some bold beauty to transition into your fall season. Giving you the green light, eye color is coming up in various shades. Color green, eyeliner, eyeshadow in green, combined with cobalt blue. Very interesting. And if you want that feathery look to your eyelashes with some color, why not have green eyelashes? Now, you might not want to go through the process of sewing yarn into your eyelashes like they did at some of the fall 2022 shows, but no worries, you can purchase green eyelashes. And we're gonna stay on eyes. We know we've used lipstick for various things, so why not use electric pink on your eyes as a cream shadow? Give you that bold, beautiful look. Sparkle and shine with your blush. One of the trending things that's happening is using rhinestones on your cheeks with your blush. Little eyelash glue and sparkle. That'll be great for evening out. And finally, move over bronzer. According to Allure, green highlighter is taking over TikTok. Now, this is very interesting if you can pull this off, but I feel a look such as this will be great for those fall festivals. And that's your bold, blind beauty bite.
How about you, Steph?
Mine's not quite as daring or risky, but then I'm not a daring and risky person. But it is deep in my heart. It really is. I would like to write an autobiography. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while now, but it really does scare me to death. I mean, just like exposing myself is just so, it gives me heart palpitations. So to a lot of people, that would be, they roll their eyes like, really seriously? An autobiography, that's not bold, but it really is a bold thing for me. Sylvia, how about you?
So I'm going to wrap up with a final quote that I think just says what bold is so much. And it's from Nora Ephron. And she says, above all, be the heroine of your life. There's a part that also says, and not the victim, but I love that, be the heroine of your life. It's so easy to slip into, I can't, it's too hard. You know, as people who are blind, things can be hard. They can be scary. I think for me, I am a fairly adventurous person who's done lots of adventures, and I try not to let blindness ever stop me. Now, I go back to on that, I'm scared to death on the inside, but I try still not to let it stop me, because number one, for myself, I think that I'm really trying to be everything and experience everything that I want to, but I also want to share that with other people. I want people who are blind, our sisters and brothers who are blind out there, to really know you can do it. And so we each have that opportunity to kind of model that for people. And so part of that is getting out of my comfort zone to make sure other people feel like they can also do that. So I think the bold things that I'm doing are being more authentic, not having to feel like I have to be shiny all the time and be that confident person all the time, that I don't have to be on stage all the time, to say no when I want to shine when I want to hide when I want to be brave or bold when I want to, and to admit it when I'm scared. But of course, I'll just say I'd love to travel the whole world.
That is so very well said. And I think to wrap things up, I would like to also share a quote. We are all in the same storm, but we are not all in the same boat. The storm is life, and the boat is our story. As we've demonstrated through the numerous stories that we've shared on Bold Blind Beauty and the blind people that we featured here on the podcast, all of our stories are different, and they are all valuable. When we take the time to stop, listen, and learn from others' lived experiences, the tapestry of life becomes more enriched. Many of us look at adventurers and risk takers as bold people, and they really are. However, depending on where we are in our stories, sometimes being bold can be something as simple as getting out of bed and taking a shower. It's important for all of us to remember that we are all walking, talking stories, and each is different. The real boldness is living our lives or stories to the very best of our ability.
Thank you for listening to the Bold Blind Beauty on Air podcast with your hosts, Stephanae McCoy, Nasreen Bhutta, and Sylvia Stinson-Perez. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite podcast platform. And do watch out for our next monthly episode.